kind of history these people began writing here was not intended to stop here. As the men who led this revolution see it, there are 19 more chapters to follow, one for each of the countries in South America where conditions are ripe for this. And this is revolution. As revolutions have gone throughout the world since the end of World War II, this one in Cuba holds no special honors or distinctions. But revolutions have gone until this one. The Cuban Revolution is very special. It's very special for several reasons, and all of them are pretty much a mystery to this fellow, John Q. American here, who is particularly wrapped up in that Cuban Revolution. He doesn't really understand what happened in Cuba back in January of 1959, despite the fact that no other person on this planet has a greater number or variety of ways to read about, hear about, see about, and know about things. The tons of newsprint that he's read through and the untold hours of airtime that he's listened through about turmoil and unrest and revolutions everywhere around him for years. None of that prepared him for today's Cuba. He's confused, particularly so because, like thousands of other Americans, he's been to Cuba. As a matter of fact, he was there vacationing only a few weeks before that scene you saw on the screen a moment ago happened in Havana. When he was there wasn't much to suggest to him that things would go as they have gone in that island country.
Se acaba de despertar su siesta.
Ay, déjalo.
El año de Graupera, él cumplió el año, él nació en el 33, pero dice que lo inscribieron lo pusieron como el 32 porque lo inscribieron un poquito, no sé, antes para el servicio, porque era a no sé qué ejército, le ponían a veces un añito más.
¿Lo estás viendo tú?
¿Qué está bien?
Ah, no, está grabando, qué bandido.
Está para allá. Vamos a para allá. Pero chico, ¿cómo lo vas a poner tan simple? Ay, igual, igual. ¿Eh? Ay. A Perecito sí lo pelaron bonito, los pelecitos bonitos, aunque no lo pelen, pero...
Yo me di cuenta que me enamoré de él. Pero que entonces yo creía que era casado y yo decía, mira que esto es grande, que me voy a enamorar de un hombre casado. Y entonces, porque él jugaba con Charito, que era muy amigo, y yo creía que Charito, como no conocía a esa gente todavía, creía que era novio o eran casados. Y bueno, más vale ni mirar. Y cuando ya salía de que nosotros íbamos de Aurora, vamos a comprar dulce en una tienda cerquita al otro lado. Y él se bajó y cogió el carro y nosotros íbamos caminando y cuando yo vi que el carro venía, que faltaba como una cuadra, digo, vamos a doblar por aquí. Entonces, pues nosotros nos hicimos novios. Fíjate cómo nosotros nos hicimos novios, que yo le dije que sí. Fuimos a una sobrina de la mamá del Vertico, se enfermó, era una niñita. Ella le decían la negra, le decían la negra a la mujer. De cariño, tú sabes. La negra quiso que me llevara al hospital y Francisco, el que tenía carro, entonces me dijo, ay, acompañan. Y entonces nosotros nos quedamos en el parqueo, entonces empezó a enamorarme.
Son
estación de transporte que hay aquí. Calzada del Puente Grande. Está el mercado higiénico de La Habana. Mercado único. El mercado de La Habana.
My father, he comes from a family that used to have it all. My grandfather, his father, they used to have a bodega, like a store, a food store. You can buy things there. They used to have that. They used to have agricultural things. They used to have tobacco, and then they lost it all. They lost it all for different things, and they moved to Havana. You know, they moved to Havana. They started. My father was the smallest from, I think, 8 or 9 siblings, you know. And my father was the youngest one. So they went to Havana with nothing. He and his brother had to share a pair of shoes, so they made it like that. You know, they made it like that. Working started. My father went to school, and he started electrical mechanical.
They used to love to go out. He was always ready to go anywhere. I remember he used to come in and from work, and he used to say to my mom, hurry up, we're leaving, we're going. Where are we going? My mother used to say, we're going here, we're going there. And my mother was like, but I'm not ready. And my father said, don't worry, we're never going to be ready. Just go, let's go have fun, enjoy life. He thought that, it's always good to have a clean and beautiful home and so on. However, he thought to have fun and enjoy family time, it was more important than all the cleaning you can do.
¿Qué va?
Sí, pero yo la vi cuando tú entraste y entró. No le hagas eso, que es abuso.
Marilyn y Kiki se fueron de aquí con 13, 14 años, ¿no?
Kiki, ¿cuál es la mayor?
Kiki es el mayor y Marilyn es la otra. La más chiquita es Luis. Ella era más chiquita, ella tenía 6 años cuando se fue. Cuando ella llegaba a la casa, mi muñeca, tú llegabas y te ponías a jugar con tu muñeca. Mira eso.
Yo tenía uno aquí que salía, traía la paloma.
I had not been there since I left in 1980, so I was 6 when I left. So for me, it was like, it was interesting because it was like going back to where you were born, to like your birthplace, but you really weren't able to grow up there because of, the government and, the lack of liberties that exist there, lack of freedom, lack of everything. Going back over there to those places and even seeing some uncles and cousins and people that I hadn't seen since I was 6. And I think I was like 20-something. I mean, 2001, I was 20-something when I went. So it was really an awesome experience. I know that he had gone because again, he wanted to see his siblings, and he knew I wanted to go. It was also after he had a heart attack, so he really wanted to go back and see his family.
Oye, el machito que está loco por meterse la boca.
No, son hembras, todas son hembras.
Todos son hembras, hay uno, dos machos nada más.
El macho es el grande ese de los dos de adelante.
Son dos machos y 6 hembras.
Esas son hembras.
Sí,
Todas
ajá.
son hembras, 2 machos nada más.
Mira, ese grande.
Entró otro.
¿Entró otra pelea?
Él está loco para entrar, mira.
El macho está loco por pa' allá, preparo.
Mira, mi hermana tiene 52 años. Se fue cuando se fue ustedes, que ya hace 24 o 23 años. Entonces ella dice que si viene aquí se muere. Con 52 años más joven que yo, y esa bobería de ella.
Esos son, es que uno, tú sabes, lo que pasó y tiene
Y
miedo.
el tiempo que hace que está allá y tiene miedo de venir aquí. Ella tiene miedo. Tiene miedo.
Yo pensé que tu casa estaba más lejos.
Antes cuando era un giníbolo ahí. Y Barbarita, mira que tú van a ver Barbarita, chica. Si yo no puedo ir más. Si tú ves a Barbarita la cabeza. Aguanta que bueno. Más chico.
Marilyn,
¿Qué le dice al guagüero? ¿Dónde?
pero qué linda tú estás, ¿eh?
Estaba para el trabajo, está esperando a tío Cucho y a...
¿Y tú sabes?
Escucho hoy, comida con sal ninguna.
¿Con qué?
Con sal.
No se le echa sal.
Ah, bueno, para que lo sepa.
Ve acá cómo tú quieres cochino asado, frito, ¿cómo es?
No. No, a ella no se le mueren los cochinos en la barriga.
¿Tú viste la casita cómo le quedó?
Sí.
Aquello nada más le quedó parado la pared de frente.
Todo era tirado abajo.
Porque aquello se derrumbó, cocina y comedor y techo y todo aquello fue al suelo. Aquello se hizo haciendo cigarros, vendiendo papas rellenas, vendiendo...
¿Y quién hace los cigarros? Ella también.
Sí, tiene una fábrica de cigarros allí.
Sí, ¿no? Y ya me dijo, cuando yo me termine ese tabaco ya no hago más cigarros. Estoy despaletado.
Yo si no voy a ir en Tapuco, yo sé que tú eres un malo.
Ven para acá,
Pero un malo.
Ahí arriba un cartón, allí lo pelamos.
Ese día, mira, tú ese
No se muere con el cuchillo largo ese de la piñada, se muere el tegado.
De teta.
De los chicos que tienen cuchillo.
Está bonita, ¿eh?
No, la que tiene Buddy ahí es una elefanta.
Sí.
Un muchacho.
Dale, ven para acá. Ahí, ven. Ya.
Ah, mira, ahí viene el cartón, espera.
No, pero arriba el cartón no puedes matar.
Aquí te escucho.
Ponte ahí, mira, agárrale una pata en cochino para que te vean allá, tía María te vea allá con él. Y Marilyn. Te ve a tía Marilyn que le estoy agarrando la pata. Aguántaselo ahí. Compadre, acabate con eso.
Seeing the family reuniting, and I mean, we knew that stuff had not changed during that time. Things had not really changed. I mean, you still couldn't get anything at the market. The people still didn't live comfortably, not even close to. A person on welfare lives better here in America than any person in Cuba. So, and that has nothing to say about rich or poor, because you could be a doctor and you could be a doctor and have a doctor's degree, and you could be a night prostituting because we don't have enough money to feed your kids. So, I mean, there's all sorts of things going on over there. So, I mean, that's the reality, but the place is still beautiful. The people are beautiful, and, you know, your family is just, it's just, you know, your roots, and you see that there's beauty. Even with all that there's still a lot of beauty. The culture is really beautiful and warm and alluring, you know, and colorful. You know, Cuban culture is very colorful and alive, you know.
falten más
Papi, tómale.
pollones.
Oye, yo voy a ir a buscar el saco capón ahí.
Que no falten más pollones, ¿dónde están
Sí,
metidos?
son una pila.
Mamá, ya todos los
Allá hay maíz, saca. Hay que coger más maíz. ¿Puedo coger un poquito más?
Poquito para Ruby, no le eché tanto.
Para que se vuelvan locas.
Llámala a Ruby.
Yo no sé llamar eso. Kikiriki. Kikiriki. Yo no sé qué le... ¿Cómo que? Oye, pollito, ya. Vengan a comer.
Pregúntale a Jero, no tenía corazón. No. Sí, el corazón no tenía. Sí. Pregúntale a Jero, ¿qué tal? Yo tenía corazón. No sé si es...
Eso no, corazón, buscando corazón. No le hizo nada, Manolito.
No, sin corazón lo escondió para que no...
Tenía
dos heridas.
Tenía.
A eso le enseñé a Jero, digo, mira, para no digan que lo que están fajados en la segunda o en la tercera. Yo no sé cuál, yo sé que le tiene dos pinchazos, así que... Sí, fueron tres, dos lo cogí.
Está comiendo.
Dale para atrás. Cuando lo frenes se le pone zapatilla. Dice tú, pues toma. Se paró el camión. No, ya, me bajé pegado de la cama. Si no me estuviera
Él estaba disfrutando la galletica. Oye, mi tío, no es fácil. Mi tío, este reguero canilludo, ¿dónde tú lo sacaste? ¿Eh?
Yo no puedo estar tan...
Pero esto que será. Yo me estaba disparando.
He has family that lives on these farms still. They're like distant cousins, I guess, of his. And it was a really good experience to be there and, you know, I mean, see how they live. And, I mean, they live in the farm, and the farm people live a little bit better than in the city. Because in the farm, you grow your own pigs, your own whatever. And even if the government was taking, you still have food, you know. It's your land, so you're creating food, which is very different in the city. It's harder because, you know, you gotta buy everything.
Tata, mi tía.
Ese viaje que nos quedamos botados en dos.
orgullo.
Dime, papá.
Y el aparato que
¿Qué es eso? ¿Esa es una competencia risa? Sí,
¿Esto qué cosa es así? Eso es una cafetería. El estado. Una cafetería. Sí, para vender cigarros y un poco de café con chicha. Y hay grupos de gente que era ahí que hace.
Started to grow and all his business. He worked as an electrician for a bus company in Havana. He was electrician to a bus company in Havana. Then from there, he put his son's automobile electrical business. He got a shop where he used to do only electrical work to automobiles, only electrical works. And then everything went down the hill when Fidel Castro got the power. My father used to have his own business, his shop, and he was doing really well, and the government just come down and take everything away. They took away everything, his business, everything he had worked for so many years. They took it away. And a little while after that, he started fighting against the communists, and he went to jail. I was a little kid. The government recently said he was not in favor of the communists. He was not. He was against the communists, and he started to fight, against that. So they come down one night. I was a little kid. I remember that night. I never forget my sister, Marilyn. I used to be 8, 9 years old maybe. And they come down one night, really early in the morning, around 3 or 4 in the morning. They knock on the door, and they just took it away to jail. And that's it. Everything, how it was. Me, my mother, and my sister, all alone there.
Porque sabía que yo no lo iba a echar para adelante. ¿Tú me entiendes? Y tú ese era el meneo. ¿Me entiendes? Ese era el meneo. Y yo me aprovechaba de toda esa jodienda. Y yo me llevaba para mi casa una de eso de mambo. Bueno, digan algo ahí. Mira las dos uniformadas.
Bueno, aquí tenemos un pueblo uniformado. Ahora María y yo estamos trabajando de agente de protección y seguridad. Una pertenece al CELSA y otra al cuerpo de Corazon. Y hacemos las mismas funciones. Registrar vehículos, personajes que entran y salen a las instalaciones donde trabajamos. Y ahí estamos trabajando más o menos bastante bien. Trabajamos unas veces de día y otras de noche, pero bueno. Ahí estamos, para que sepas el trabajo que estoy haciendo. Cuando tú viniste, estabas aquí, Charito, no estaba trabajando. Ese fue el trabajo que resolví.
Bueno, y yo le brindo protección a ustedes, los turistas, los que vienen aquí, para que se sientan bien, para que no les pase nada malo y tengan una feliz estancia aquí en Cuba. Aquí soy una security guard. Ya aprendí el inglés.
¿Quién trabaja mañana ustedes? Tú puedes ir. Vamos a hacer una comida allá casejero allá con todo el mundo.
Eso por la tarde, ¿no? Por la tarde.
Sí, por la tarde, igual también. Ajá. Llévate ahí, Anita.
A todas.
Bueno, Anita va a llegar tarde.
Sí, mami, yo voy a tratar de...
Nosotros le
una cervecita, un pedacito de lechón, esto, lo otro, ¿eh?
bailar un poquito, el danzón.
Ajá, vamos a hacer... Nosotros estamos en función de las 6 de la mañana.
Está bien.
Desde la hora que llegue.
Me da tiempo. Ponle la bomba, Rubí, ahí.
Desde la hora que llegue estamos nosotros en función.
Bueno, entonces ya está.
Así que a cualquier hora que llegue ya estamos ya en Salta.
Que me enseñe, quiero ver a ver.
Ahora a los 25 años, ya Jimmy se hubiera podido retirar desde cuando. Jimmy tiene como 33 años de trabajo ya, Jimmy, ¿no? 32. Nosotros vamos a cumplir 31 años casados.
Me cuentan los 3 años de servicio militar. Los 3 años de servicio militar. Me lo cuentan como de trabajo.
Sí, porque tú lo pasas de
Sí, pero
no directamente, pero
no te retiran por los años que trabajaste. Te retiran por la edad que tienes.
y contando los años.
No, si no tienes los años,
Si no tengo los años completos, no puedo retirar.
no te puedes retirar.
Si no tiene los 25 años.
Si no tiene más de 25.
Aunque tenga 70.
No, allí en los Estados Unidos tú llegas y a los 10 años que tú trabajaste ahí ya tienes el retiro ya normal.
¿Verdad?
Sí, trabajando 10 años ya tienes ya.
¿Tiene algún, tú sabes, entrada para los retiros?
Sí, ya tú tienes ya.
Empiezan a acumular retiro.
Sí, no, ya. A los 10 años, por ejemplo, si tú llegaste a los 52 años allí y trabajaste hasta los 62 años, ya tú tienes derecho a tu retiro ya.
Menos de 10 años.
Bueno, si, bueno, ganas menos,
Si tú le haces así,
pero te pagan.
tú pagas aquí, entonces...
Sí, pero que a lo mejor tú llegaste allí, por ejemplo, a 55 años, ¿cuánto te quedan por trabajar? 7 años. ¿Cuánto trabajas estos 7 años? Pero si tú te sientes bien, llegas a los 65 y te retiras con más. Ahora, si tú quieres meterte 70 años y seguir hasta los 70 años trabajando, yo no quiero retirarte, no te retiras, no te obligan, pero que estás perdiendo un dineral. Hay una nueva ley que, por ejemplo, yo llevo a los 65 años trabajando y todo lo que yo gane, yo no pago nada. Ya yo no tengo que pagar nada. Ya la nueva ley es, tú puedes ganar, antes había una ley que tú no podías ganar más.
Pasa que no.
Tú no podías ganar más de 12,000 pesos en el año. Tú no puedes pagar más de 12,000 pesos al año. Pero ahí hay una ley que cuando tú cumpliste los 35 años, yo puedo ganar todo lo que yo quiera. Y no tengo que pagar nada de Estado, no tengo que pagarle nada a nadie. Todo lo que yo gane para mí. Esa es la ley que hay.
Mira la esposa de mi primo.
He was livid. Some of his family members actually, I believe they were, they supported Castro. They thought Castro was bringing something good. And he said he knew from the beginning that there was this, the system had not worked in other countries. It's not a system that works. He knew it was total communism from the get-go. He wasn't fooled. And early on, he started getting together with other business owners and friends, and they were doing all these sort of, I guess, protests and all these sorts of things. And, he was taken away.
Entonces mucha gente tenía propiedades y estaban otra gente utilizando en vez de la familia, la herencia de la familia. Y empezó a organizarse un poco eso. Pero, ya te digo, la ambición de la humanidad rompe todo los asuntos, lo echa a perder. Todo el desarrollo, si vamos a ver que hay 20 personas poderosas que tienen habilidad para hacer y desarrollar una economía, agarrar dinero, 20 millones por aquí, 20 por ahí, 20 por ahí. Si todo eso se lo guarda para sí mismo, los pueblos se destruyen.
That's the way these dominant people, they do it. They promise everything. They promise all. In reality, what they do is take away everything. They take away everything from you. They promise freedom, which you don't have. They promise a lot of good things that any society can have. But in reality, you don't get any of those things because everything, in reality, everything is limited. Everything is limited. If you want to get, let's say, something to eat, it's limited. You don't get what you want. You get what they give you. You understand? You cannot get what you want. You only get what you can, what they give you. So everything is a lie, and year after year, everything has gone down the hill, and since the beginning, everything has been worse and worse year after year, and after 50-something years, imagine what is Cuba right now. You can see the world can see right now what it's become to Cuba. Nothing. Nobody want to live there. Okay, so everything was a lie. At the end, everything was a lie. He destroyed that country completely, from top to bottom, in every aspect of life. Every aspect of life. Everything is terrible. Moral things, moral principles, everything. Education, everything has been degrading year after year. So everything was a lie. At the end, everything was a lie. You know? A lot of promises are not true.
Making any sort of decision was a bold move in the sense that, you know, depending on what position he took, he could, you know, risk getting hurt or somebody, his family getting hurt. And so, I mean, I'm not sure what went on during this time in his mind. I think he just saw no other choice but to do something about it. He felt like he couldn't just sit there and do nothing because he had worked hard.
Main Street in almost any large city in any country south of the border. As it happens, this is one of the main streets in Havana, Cuba. Modern hotels, gambling casinos, exotic restaurants, department stores, and office buildings. This is Tourist Alley. Well known to most American visitors to Cuba. To most American visitors, this is Cuba. That is, it's all of Cuba they usually get to see. It isn't Cuba at all, of course. It's a transplanted bit of the United States, from the air-conditioned hotels to the table linen and silver serving dishes in the restaurants. Most of what you see on your screen was built by Americans, in fact. In Havana's case, much of that transplanted bit of North America was built by a very special group of Americans who have given too many of the Cuban people a somewhat peculiar picture of what life in America must be like. John Q. there had a whale of a time in Havana back in December of 1958, several weeks before Castro reached that city. I'm Albert Burke. I'll try to tell you how and why this was the case. He lost quite a bit of money at the gaming tables in the casinos along Tourist Alley, many of which were built by a group of American racketeers with the profits of the crime syndicates headquartered in New York and Chicago, which run most of the bookie operations, dope peddling, numbers and policy rackets, abortion mills, prostitution and poker houses here in the States. He enjoyed the excellent food served in the exotic restaurants along Tourist Alley, and many of them were built by the same men with the same kind of money. And although he doesn't go for that kind of thing himself, and he wanted that kind of feminine companionship, Havana was famous throughout the whole of South America for the quality of its red light district, conveniently located a few blocks away from Tourist Alley. And this is a business enterprise which has been set up and run by the same racketeers who shared their hard-earned Cuban pesos and American dollars with a number of Cuba's government officials for the privilege of providing such services to the vacationing public. All that was part of the transplanted bit of the United States in Cuba that made John Q's vacation there a delightful interlude, but left the visiting guajiro, the Cuban peasant, with a somewhat peculiar idea about what the American way of life must be like over on the mainland, a short 90 miles away. Tourist Alley is, of course, not the whole picture of American dollars invested in the Cuban economy, but it has always been the most spectacular part of that picture in Cuba. And there are tourist alleys all over South America. For a dangerously long time, they've been the most important blocks to John Q. Americans' understanding what really went on south of our border, what life was really like there. John Q., you see, is accustomed to the foam rubber mattress, tiled bathroom kind of life. He rarely moves away from this wherever he goes in the world. But there isn't much of that kind of world anywhere in Africa, in Asia, or in South America, except in the tourist alleys that have been set up to cater to those few of the world's 2 3/4 billion people who can afford to live that way. From tourist alleys, wherever they are, it's been very hard to see the seeds of the kind of revolution that spilled over much of the world since the end of World War II, and most recently in Cuba. Very few Americans are prepared now to see those seeds over all of South America, as Che Guevara, Castro's right-hand man in Havana, saw them last March when he described the Cuban Revolution as Chapter 1 in the battle for America. The Cuban leaders see those seeds sprouting in 19 other South American countries where conditions are ripe for Castro's kind of revolution. What are those conditions? Well, Pope John XXIII put his finger squarely on the most important part of them in his radio message to Cuba's first National Catholic Convention last year. 500,000 Cubans gathered to hear the Holy Father tell them that, and I quote, "The face of the world could change if true charity were to rule. And this is the charity of the Christian man who knows that his wealth has a social function and that it's his duty to give what is above his own needs to those who are deprived of the bare necessities of life," unquote, Pope John. What Pope John XXIII was talking about was a kind of South America that can be seen a fairly short distance away from any tourist alley in any other South American country. The visitor in Buenos Aires, for example, is always impressed by places like Republic Square and streets like the Avenue of the 9th of July. Buenos Aires has some of the widest, best paved, clean and beautiful streets in the world, and they're lined with the smartest shops and hotels. But the visitor rarely sees or hears about a place called the Cinturón de la Miseria, the Belt of Misery, which almost surrounds the beautiful part of that city. In this belt, more than 1 million Argentines live under conditions of filth and poverty which few North Americans alive today have ever known, and even fewer would understand. This gulf between the rich and the poor in every country south of the border is the stuff revolutions are made of. Not the kind that were known in every South American country before January of 1959, but this man's kind, which, as revolutions have gone in the world since 1945, is not particularly unusual. But in Cuba and in Latin America, Mr. Castro's revolution has been very unusual. Fidel Castro offered Cuba's miserable ones, Cuba's poor, most of whom are the Guajiros, the Cuban peasants. He offered them a better deal. He offered them a better life than they'd ever known before. This group, the Guajiros with their families, make up about half the Cuban population. He told this group, in effect, that his revolution would make what Pope John meant by Christian charity a reality for them. This revolution of Castro's was the first in Cuban history to base its policies and its power on the peasant. And his was one of the very, very few revolutions in modern South American history that was not fought between power groups, between the military, between the upper classes. In all other revolutions, the peasant, the poor, the miserable ones, took no real part. They couldn't have cared less who won or who lost, because their lives never changed anyway. But Castro told that group that the revolution he headed was for them. He gave the Guajiro a sense of political power. He gave them to understand what political power meant and what could be done with it. They flocked to his support.
funciona. Tengo una cueva. Vayan ustedes adelante para yo poder ir quitando ustedes. La discusión del morro. Este morro, la cabaña. Estábamos presos antes. Ahora vamos a Santos.
My brother and I went to a school together, and you know, he's a year, 18 months, a year and a half older than me, and it was very tough. We take care of each other. We relied a lot on each other. We noticed at a very early age that my mother was not she was trying her best, but we knew she didn't know how to take care of herself, don't know how to take care of us. It was hard for her. You know, it was tough. We noticed that my mother was struggling. Even though as a kid you don't think you realize it, but you know. So we tried to do as much as we can to help my mom. Like my brother used to carry all the food when we used to go to see my father. I used to carry some of the bags, and you know, we used to help her in everything we could to make sure that that she that she has some help. She became a very strong person. Just years after my father was a very long time. There she became very strong, and you can see the change of my mom from a lady that didn't know how to do anything to a lady that would take care of our home, take care of us. That was a very tough time for me and my brother. My sister was not born at the time. Very tough for us. When we used to see him, he was in a place called El Morro, and when we used to go there, the dentist for when you go to visit them, all the inmates were in one side of against the wall, while all the visitors will go down in order to see. So you had to walk them to your the person you went to visit was in front of you, and then you turn around and talk to them. There was no place to sit. It was very tough. The guys were like pulling while you passing, they were pulling your skirts, they were pulling you and things like that. They were like really, really mean. They were not, but of course, the place that we were in a jail. So, but I was a kid, so I didn't see it so happy. I didn't see it so, I was happy to see my father. Every night from there on, we couldn't go see him that many times because they keep changing him from place to place, different location. They took him to La Cabaña. They took him to a place in a town called Pinal del Rio. They took him to many, many places. They were changed his jail cells to different locations.
My father would say how they used to torture them they used to make him watch, make him and, whoever inmates, I guess everybody who was in prison, watch other people get, killed. Like in their head, execution style. That, and he also talked about how people got tortured. They would put, if you did something wrong or whatever, they would put you in this little cell where above it, people was the bathroom, so people would pee, and the pee would go down, and they would leave sometimes people there for months, and they would pee on their own leg and do everything, disgusting, in this little hole, like a closet. So there were a lot of terrible things happened there, and I'm sure my dad and other people went through worse. I'm pretty sure. There's stuff that he didn't talk about. You know what I mean? But I know that one of the things he said, when he came out, shortly after, I think they had me. And I think that, believe it or not, it helped him heal, having a new child. forget, all those years in there, because it changes you. You cannot not be different being in jail, seeing the things you see in there. Because it wasn't just a bunch of good guys. There were good guys with bad guys in there. You know what I mean? So, yeah, and what can I say? I guess that's why we're proud. Cubans are proud by nature. It has a lot to do with, where we come from and the suffer. Yeah.
Those today, we're starting to do. He wasn't there. I had to help my mother doing this, doing that, all the little things. I remember I watched it, the little kid, but I just tried to help my mom. Trying to, for example, to go to the store to get a little food that we can get, just to bring it at home, to bring some to my father at jail.
Es una cosa espiritual, Dios la hizo hay que aceptarlo.
My mom went through a lot as well. It was very tough for her. She was very strong, and still today she's a very strong lady. But it was tough for her. She has 2 kids, and she never worked her life. She would do nails and certain things like that to get some money to be able to buy some food for us. But she had a beautiful family as well. Her youngest brother, Tio Jose, his name is Jose. He moved with his wife to our house just to keep my mother company, because she never been alone. That's when my father was in jail, and he was there to take care of us and to give us whatever our needs are. Many people in the family were afraid to go visit us. You have to understand, my father was political in jail. The reason is he was anti-government, so many people will stay away from the place, our home actually, from our home. They will not go visit us. So we only had our uncle, and we had an aunt. One of my father's older sister, she will come on Sunday to bring me and my brother like cookies and candy and certain, little knickknacks there any kid would want at the age of 5 or 6 years old. And we used to sit in the park, and I remember I used to take a shower really quickly and put my best dress on and sat in the rocking chair in the porch, waiting for that aunt of mine that she was going to come, waiting to see a member of the family, because in reality, we didn't have many family members at the time. And I didn't blame him. Those days were very tough. The communist was very new thing, they were really pressing everyone, not to have any relationship or any friendship or anything with anyone that had ties with people that were anti-communist. So that's the reason why my family was not around. However, there was 2, like I said, uncle and my aunt. They used to go and see us, and we would wait very happy. Then later on, when my father, they let him go from jail, my mother and my father had my sister movie, which was the happiness that brought the whole entire family together. Really was like the sunshine on a dark moment.
Con Dios siempre se puede. Dice que el gozo del Señor es nuestra fortaleza. ¿Oíste? Dios siempre se puede.
I think after he did the jail time and came out, he was just like, this place is no longer for me. And I don't think he wanted to risk the family anymore. He was just like, you know what? I'm leaving. And that's what he decided to do. He decided to look for a future for his family elsewhere.
Pues yo ya no podía con la finca. Me habían robado gallinas, vacas, caballos, puercos. No me robaron a mí y el mulo que tenía, porque el mulo era muy malo y yo me aparejaba a él, ¿sabes? Entonces yo oscurecía, yo vivía en el reparto, a brincar nada más que la carretera allí.
Ven, mira qué patio yo tengo.
Entonces, me agarré a esta, le digo, mire, yo tengo una escopeta muy buena, yo siempre amaba porque toda mi cría ha sido cazador. Venía a mi casa, me bañaba, comía, me sentaba al portal un ratito allí, a las 10 de la noche me volvía a cambiar la ropa, me ponía una ropa prieta, una gorra que tenía ahí, pam, pam, cogía la escopeta, 8 o 10 cartuchos, me metía en el bolsillo y 5 le metía a la escopeta y una linterna que yo tengo así de cazar justicia de 5 pilas, esta cogía detrás de mí, allá para la pinga, hoy, mañana, pero me robaban a prima noche, yo creí que me robaban a las 9, a las 10, a las 11 de la noche, ¿para qué decir? Y así me metí una pila de tiempo, jugándome la mire una noche, porque yo hubo ocasión que yo salía con la escopeta en la mano esperando tropezar con uno que me matara o matarlo. Sí. Hasta que un día le dije a esta, digo, Pimpia, ya nosotros nos damos más. Se murió mi padre, se murió mi hermano, me quedé yo solo. Y esta era mi ayudante, de noche y de día. Porque ni el yerno que yo tenía servía para nada, porque el pobre tenía un miedo siempre de la oscuridad que se estaba muriendo. A mí me daba estar risa después de todo, porque la única guapa era esta que salía detrás de mí con la linterna. Yo le decía, nunca te separes de mí. Cualquier movimiento, tú corres para atrás de mí, que el que esté delante lo voy a meter antes que nos madruguen a nosotros. Dentro de ella una vez esta le zumbaron 2 pedradas que por poco la matan. A mí yo tuve suerte. Leí, me cogía los domingos, los sábados, venía la cosecha de mamoncillo, pan, me robaban. Hasta que un día lo cogí. No tiene que accidente, tiene que se parte un brazo y trae un blanquito y lo encaramos en la mata de mamoncillo, a robarme los mamoncillos. Digo, niño, baja. Me cago en la carabela de tu madre, mire. A pelo voy para la montura, cojan un machete de mulo y le caigo atrás con el mulo. Ya yo me puse a pensar, digo, cualquier día me voy a tropezar con un testarudo que casi los tuve, ¿para qué decir?
Me voy a y te vas a desgraciar.
Sí, me voy a desgraciar por una mierda que no vale nada, por un mataperro. Como me pasó uno que no está muy lejos ahí, que cada rato me mira así, yo lo miro ahí, no. Entonces un día para acá, venimos bien esta época, la cosecha de mango, salían las pandillas a tumbar mango, yo tenía una boleta ahí que yo cogía 700, 800, hasta 1000 quintales, 1200 quintales de mango, llegué a copiar una vez que me dieron una fiesta de Corazon de La Habana. Me lo encuentro, caramana, mate mango. Yo tenía sazón de eso, una perra pastora española que me habían dado negra, pero muy buena, muy buena. A la pobre que después me la mataron las abejas. Yo me encuentro el grupito, digo, ¿qué pasa, muchachos? No, aquí comiendo mango, no tenemos que comer. No, chicos, estos mangos son míos, mi negro, no se pongan a... Dentro de ellos, sépase usted, yo no podía dar una queja, porque yo era el ateo allí en barrio, venía a investigar y yo era el que, como ahora así me dice, no, porque tú nos caes atrás, digo, no, y sigo cayendo atrás a ustedes, si yo no le tengo miedo a nadie. Por suerte, por desgracia, que ustedes me vean el tiempo que le tengo, no le tengo miedo a ninguno. Ese chiquito, págame, el chico, me favor, bájate de la matica. Se bajó, digo, ¿tú quieres mango? Mira, te coge esto. No, yo lo quería arriba de la mata. No puede ser, chico, eso lo tengo yo para copiarlo, para buscarme 1000 pesos, que estos mangos son míos. Y me sale caminando un chiquendeque ahí. Digo, ese caminadito tuyo, espérate, no te vayas ahí, no te vayas ahí, no te vayas ahí. ¿Cómo? Digo, hice así, piqué el mulo y llegué a esa plena montura del lazo de la montura, le hice así a la perra chua que la tenía en la cadena de pan. Ven, chuga conmigo. Me tiraba y la cogí por la mano. Me cogió por la mata de mango para arriba y se quedó. ¿Qué le cogiste a la perra? Dice, no, me bajo y te la mato. Le digo, 1000 pesos te regalo. Pero si tú te tiras y me matas a la perra, o si la perra te mata a ti, así que bájate. Digo, bájate y mátamela. Yo lo que quiero es que la mate. Ahora, si ella te mata a ti, vamos a ver cómo tocamos. Porque va a ser que la perra se me escapó, ¿para qué decir? Entonces, no, llévate la perra. Me llevé la perra. Le digo, yo quiero que tú sepas, ni te tengo miedo a ti, porque ustedes vienen aquí en pandilla. Y yo aquí ando solo, a no ser esta. Que una vez me le tiraron 2 piedras, estoy para la pinga, y después todo el mundo se mandó a correr. Porque yo soy un poquito malo. Después tengo fama de que disparo, ¿no? ¿Para qué decir? Entonces después apareció cultura. Viene cultura a negociar, le digo, mira, lo mejor cuidado de cultura. Si no la quieren comprar, se la regalo. Entonces tratan conmigo, vinieron ingenieros, arquitectos, empleados de ellos ahí, van ahí. Dice, bueno, Julián, tu posición, le digo, miren, mi posición es este, allí vive mi hermana y aquí vivo yo. Yo quisiera vender y tener unos pesos para vivir, para pasar los 3 o 4 o 5 años. Tengo tanta suerte que hace 23 años me retiré y estoy vivo todavía. Así que ya ustedes dijeron que tengo 83 años, a los 60 me retiré, porque ya yo quería descansar. Me propusieron hacerle placa a esto, hacerle placa a aquella otra casa, reedificarla bien y dan 40.000 pesos a la mano. ¿Cuánto usted cree que me dieron? 10.200 pesos.
Por toda la finca.
Por toda la finca, por la caballera y 3 cuartos de tierra.
¿Y la placa de aquí la estás esperando?
No, todavía la estoy esperando, no, y el empleo también. Me llevaron para allá y me pusieron un empleo de 250 pesos. Digo, bueno, aquí voy tirando ya más o menos. Esta, para ir a trabajar para unos campamentos que iban a hacer, y mi hija de secretaria allí. Ninguno de los tres aparecieron, ¿no? ¿Para qué decir? Aquellos cuatro tíos. Fue una farsa. Pero yo tengo las escrituras y las fincas de mi padre, a nombre de mi padre, no, a nombre de mi madre. Oye, le dije a mi mujer, algún día estos hijos HP tienen que desaparecer la herencia. Porque no vamos a seguir viviendo de la palabra revolución.
No es más que dure 100 años.
Sí, no es más que dure 100 años. Y ahora aparece el Señor, lo que yo soñé. Dije, Pimpe, ya tenemos la finca otra vez, ahora sí vamos a negociar de verdad. ¿Tú tienes papel de la finca esa? Digo, sí, yo tengo papel. El que no lo tienen son ustedes. Sí o no, yo fui al archivo y no aparecen las escrituras de ustedes. Y yo hice así cuento y me caí en la boca. Digo, me di cuenta, ya, digo, ahora se cagaron en su madre. Porque esto, cuando venga aquí, los papeles los tengo yo. Vienen a botar a la negrita, porque habían vendido un pedazo allí, como un hectárea y pico, en 30.000 o 40.000 pesos. A botar a la negra, pero la negra, digo, ser negra, si tienen alguien aquí, me mandan a buscar, que yo soy el dueño de esto de verdad, yo tengo los papeles. Señor, me pongo a buscar en los papeles y no me aparece la escritura. Pero a sazón de eso, me mando para el archivo, y a mandarme por archivo doy santo y seña de archivo, porque las escrituras no estaban a nombre de mi padre, sino a nombre de mi madre, y no las encontraba nadie, ¿sabe?
Al saludarnos, estamos diciendo la emisión estelar del noticiero de la televisión cubana.
Mire, este es el refrigerador que yo compré. El que compré con mi sudor. Cuando fui a Estados Unidos me tuve que fletearlo. Bueno, mire. Mira como tengo de llenito. Claro, porque mira, está Francisco aquí. Y hay que darle de comer porque los pobres pasan mucha hambre ya. ¿Está bien? Ellos pasan mucha hambre, hay que tenerle con comida. Así que por lo menos, está bonito, ¿verdad?
Fue la muñeca que tú me mandaste, que la quiero con mucho cariño y amor. Y este es mi cuarto, que era antes de mi tío. Aquí tengo unos jugueticos que me dejaban ir. Una pepita que...
Se llama escapado.
Una pepita que me trajo mi tía Rubidia. Un brillito para los labios pelados. Y ya está, esas cositas que tengo aquí.
He was very strong. He always kept me very strong. And when adversity came to my side, he used to say, be strong, don't worry, things are going to change. Just be strong. Don't let anything get in your way. He was very positive. I remember very vividly that one of his brothers passed away. And that day he said to me, you know, Marilyn, don't be sad, because this is not the sadness for you. This is mine. He's my brother. He's only your uncle. You will have your own sadness to go through. to save it for that time.
Sí, señores, esas son cosas que uno se acostumbra.
Everybody has their own burden in life they have to go through. It was tough. It was tough. Back in the day, it was very tough. But later on, when he was out of jail, he was working on a place where they used to cut marble. And he was the engineer. He was the electrical engineer for that big company. And he was the person that fixed all the electrical equipment they will use to cut the marble.
Y un día se aparece con los papelitos. Mira, ya tengo.
We was looking for after everything the way it was in Cuba. We got the opportunity to come out of Cuba, and just because my father was a political prisoner in Cuba, that was the reason that we was able to come to the United States. And just to see my father, how happy he was when we arrived in this country, that was good enough for me. Besides that, I know the opportunity we all can have in a country that has a freedom like this country. So my feeling about this country is the best. I got the best feeling for this country that anybody can have, just because of that opportunity. And for me, and the one that my father used to have while he was alive here.
You know, once we left Cuba, everything was like, oh my God, it was like my sister, and they hoped to live in this country and to do everything. And my father wanted it so bad to come to this country that, he will risk anything and anything just to be here. And he did. And, we have to thank a higher power for him, granting him that wish, because he did it many times. He tried many times, and many times he was caught.
One of the things that I learned was the sacrifices that he really made. Me being there and realizing how blessed I was to be and grow up in a country like America, and the sacrifices that my father and my mother made. They left all their family behind, took their 3 kids, fled here with nothing because they let him come with nothing, not even family heirlooms, nothing, leaving everything behind and coming and starting over in a foreign country with a foreign language. And I realized the sacrifices that he made. It makes me feel like proud. It makes me proud to be his daughter and
And it makes me proud to tell my children about him and what he did so that they can have what they have today. They can have the opportunities that they have today.
I don't want to change anything. I would like to continue to have that forever. In my eyes, he's a hero. He did what he did for us, and I'm grateful. Even in the tough time, he always gave us a smile. Even in the tough time, he always gave us a line that you say, you know, a little pickup line like, you know, come on, get up. You know, sleeping for dead people, not for us.